Sure, me return on
Welcome to Sports Frenzy
go ahead,
podcast,
man.
guys. Doing our World Cup preview show, and tonight we have Rohan Ham, the guru, right? One of our brightest football minds in Jamaica. He's a French fan as well as an Arsenal fan. In fact, we have two Arsenal and French fans on the show tonight, and a Lely's Blues, Arsenal, known as Mr. Arsenal and Bones Banton. He changes his name almost every show, people. So yeah, he's having a French name tonight. So welcome to the show, guys.
What's up?
Um, our things.
Thank you, Josh, and good night to the viewers. Big up, Bones.
Oh God.
Yeah, man. So everything good with you guys so far?
Yeah, man. So far, everything all right, man. No.
All right. And let also guys that we're having a sports frenzy competition for World Cup. So that will be posted on the page as well. You'll hear more information about that tomorrow. So we'll be looking at three groups tonight, and the three groups I'll be looking at the first group, Group D, and that involves France, Australia, Denmark, and Tunisia. And France is the seeded team in that group. And we have two French fans, right? So before I get to discussing the French team, I'm just going to let you guys know, our viewers know the squad that was picked for that for French the French squad that was picked for the World Cup. So the goalkeepers that we have is Hugo Lloris, Alfonso Areola, Steve Mandanda, Benjamin Pavard, Yul Kunde, President Kimpembe, William Saliba, Rafael Varane, Lucas Hernandez, Theo Hernandez, Dayo Upamecano, Ibrahima Konate, Adrian Rabiot, Aurelien Tchouameni, Youssef Fofana, Matteo Guendouzi, Jordan Vertu, Eduardo Camavinga, Kingsley Coman, Kylian Mbappe, Karim Benzema, Olivier Giroud, Antoine Griezmann, Ousmane Dembele, and Christopher Nkunku, who was originally picked before, had an injury during training, so he was replaced by Randall Kolo Moani. What do you make of that team, starting with Mr. Ham himself? Yeah, Rowan, what do you
Well, based on the fact that Deschamps would have had his hands tied with injuries to key players, key pieces from the 2018 title-winning team, I really have no complaints per se with who he has selected. You mentioned Christopher Nkunku. Unfortunately, he went down injured. Nonetheless, on his 25th birthday, not a good birthday present, and he was replaced by the hotshot from Eintracht Frankfurt, Randall Colomuani, who unknown to many, but did very well last season for FC Nantes, paired with Ludovic Blas, and they created waves in France, and that precipitated his move to Germany, where he has continued scoring nonetheless. So he, as another dimension, he's raw, he's rangy, skillful, able to beat people 1v1, versatile. Obviously, he would be third choice to lead the line because Giroud would be the one after obviously the Ballon d'Or winner Karim Benzema. So I have no complaints. It's basically the hand that has been dealt, and I think France still has the wherewithal to make a very good showing in the tournament. I spoke with Bones previously, and we shared similar concerns re midfield. But based on who he has as his disposal, Josh, I dare say that Rabiot has played himself into contention because I know some persons would probably be going for Kamavinga based on his obvious talent. But I think this tournament has come a tad bit too early for him because when he was at run, before he moved to Real Madrid, he looked a player who was destined for the top. I'm not necessarily impressed with how he has um, improved at the pace. I thought he would have improved a bit more, but still very young, and his best days are obviously ahead of him. So I think in midfield you'll have Chouameni and you will have Rabiot. I would think I think Griezmann will still play, especially with Nkunku out because Dembele is hit and miss, and I think playing in that hole behind Mbappe and obviously Benzema, I think he's the one best equipped because unless they're chasing the game, then they can throw on the likes of Kingsley Coman to stretch defenses to bring a different dimension, or obviously Dembele, who on his day is virtually unplayable, but his days are few and far between. I think he's going to play with a back three as well. I see both Hernandez brothers playing. Lucas Hernandez playing as a left-sided centre back, as opposed to last time around when he was that rampaging left back. I think his brother will now be flying up and down the wing, and I think France will attack primarily down that left-hand side, Josh, because you look at the other side, Pavard is more of a defensively minded fullback. He's really a fullback, so even if he's deployed as a wing back, I don't think his natural tendency is to go forward. Even before he went to Bayern Munich, when he was at Stuttgart, he was really a centre back by trade who was able to fill in. Yes, he has played well for Bayern Munich and the French national team at fullback, but I don't think that's his natural game. So I think France with Mbappe pulling to the left, and obviously the aforementioned Theo Hernandez, even Benzema tends to drift out there from time to time. I think that's where they will carry their threat. But I think it's a good squad. Going to allow Bones to weigh in on
before you
the
allow
squad
Bones to
himself.
weigh in though, Mr. Ham, right? You mentioned that you think that Rabiot and Tchouaméni will start in midfield. And do you think that Rabiot is actually a better choice than Camavinga?
Not necessarily,
Currently,
not necessarily better, but I give a couple of reasons. I think Rabiot his last month, month and a half at UVA has been very, very good. He has done very well. And I think we saw Camavinga and Tchouaméni tried as a pairing, didn't necessarily come off in the Nations League. Deschamps even spoke about it, and that's why you had rumors on the eve of the squad being named that Camavinga was going to miss out. So while he's obviously ultra talented, I think there are still some rough edges to his game that needs polishing. But he's definitely a diamond, Josh, that I think France will enjoy for the better part of a decade or more because he's not yet even 20. Tchouaméni very, very young. So I think Deschamps, knowing how he tends to go about it, I can't see him pitting two such youngsters in the engine room of the French team, especially seeing that France is going to play more than likely with a back three. So they're going to be outnumbered from time to time in midfield, especially if
In breaking up.
yeah, you're breaking up a bit. Um, Bones. Yeah, what do you make of that French team?
Um, as Ham said, it's not a it's a hit and miss with the squad that has been
injured. So I
selected.
think he's going to go with Rabiot, who has a bit more experience than the Real Madrid hotshot, Eduardo Camavinga.
All right, Bones, what do you make of your French team?
I think I agree with Ham with most of what he said. I don't know how I didn't ask him before how he felt about the system that will be playing, but there's a down feeling to one of the systems that he's probably going to play at the World Cup, and I'll tell you why in a few minutes. But the fact that his hands were tied with his selections, I'm not sure if well, we know the name Pogba and the name Kante would have added much versatility to our midfield, and that would have basically strengthened that part of the park, and would have allowed France to be more comfortable going into this World Cup. The notion that persons are having about Camavinga pairing with and I'm sorry for my pronunciations tonight. We cannot pronounce their name yet. With Tchouaméni or whatever, pronounce it however it's pronounced. Sorry, boss. I think that would be a wrong move, and for me it's based on experience, right? And I'm not a Rabiot fan. I am not a fan of the guy, but as Ham said, he's been doing well for Juventus, and the fact that he's been doing well and with his experience, you expect him to slot in beside Chukwumeni, or again, forgive me for the pronunciation, and basically stabilize the midfield there with his experience. Now he's a guy that also loves to go forward, love to have that box to box kind of mentality. So that will be good for us. The system, I've been looking at the system today that France has been playing over the past couple of nations since June, and I haven't gone back to when we played South Africa and Ivory Coast and all of that, right? I've been looking at when we played the more dominant teams in Europe, and we have struggled. Based on what I've seen, we have struggled playing a three at the back, and I'm concerned about that going into the World Cup. I think we won one game playing three at the back, and that was against Austria when we won 2-0, when our backs were against the wall and we needed to win, and we went out there and win. But only to come back the next game versus Denmark, who is also in our group, and lost 2-0. I think, to Denmark. I can be wrong, but it was either 2-0 because we lost the first one 2-1, and lost the last game 2-0 to Denmark, playing three at the back. So I have concerns about that system going into the World Cup. For me, I think France will do much better playing a 4-2-3-1, which is the other formation that he uses, right? And that for me would have Rabiot and Chukwumeni sitting beside each other with Griezmann in front of them, who would directly be behind Benzema, and the left definitely you're going to go the left side of the three, you're definitely going to go Mbappe. The right side for me is a toss up. Is a toss up between. For me, Ham can disagree. For me, I would go Kingsley Coman over on the right hand side. To be honest, right? That's how I'm feeling about the right hand side over Dembele, and at the back, I agree with Ham again. We need a left-footed centre back, and that has to be Lucas Hernandez, right? I know last World Cup he played left full back for us, but I think he has the capability of playing. And with Kimpembe out, thank God, thank heavens, because this now let me make it clear. With Kimpembe out, France now stand at 20% increase in their chances of winning the World Cup.
Yeah, Kimpembe was out as well, yes.
Right? 20. So we are at 80% now. Our next percent lies with our goalkeeper in the goal that plays for Tottenham. That's our next 20% in the goal. Zin? All right. So for me, it has to be Lucas, left fullback Theo. So the two Hernandez brothers I have in my team. Then you have to definitely, if Varane is fit, like I'm not talking about 80% fit, I'm meaning fully fit. If he's fit, then it's Varane every single day of the week. If he's not fit, then you have to go with either you go with one of the three. Remind me of the name. Bayern Munich centre back. He start with you.
Saliba.
No.
Upamecano.
Yes. So it has to go between him, Saliba, and Konate. Yeah, because what I'm seeing is Pavard and what's his name? Kunde. Yes, man, no Kunde.
Yeah, Jules Kunde.
Yeah.
Kunde.
So
yes,
I see Pavard.
Kunde.
Yeah, I see Pavard and him probably fighting for that right fullback position, right? And in this sense, I would probably go with Pavard at right fullback. But yeah, it's a strong team. It's a really, really strong team. But it's all up to the coach now. As I said, I don't feel confident in us playing a three at the back system. I don't feel confident in it. And with the likes of Denmark in our group, who has beaten us over the last 2 times that they played us, and it's not just beat us, but beat us convincingly. Zane, 2-0 and 2-1. So they beat us with our strong teams out there on the pitch. So you have to have a little bit of worry about that. And if you are going to want to avoid, playing the likes of Brazil and those teams and those teams in the semi-final or whatever, you have to win this group. Right? You have to win this group, because winning this group would mean that if England win their group, then nothing is really going home this year. You understand? So at the end of the day, I believe that France coach need to make the right decision with the system that he's going to play at this World Cup. It is very, very, very important, because he have tried playing 3 at the back versus Denmark and it did not work. He got hammered the last 2 times he played them in Nations Cup, and it just did not work. I would prefer him going back to a 4-2-3-1, which has been successful for France over the last couple of months leading up to when he changed the system. I would prefer. It's a hit and miss, that 3 at the back system right now for France, honestly. And for me, I'm just not comfortable with it. But next week Wednesday, I think our first game is next week Wednesday. Let's see what he does next week Wednesday.
Mr. Ham, are you worried as a French fan that history might repeat itself for the last 3 World Cups, where the previous winners, they get knocked out in the first? Are you worried this time, given the fact that you guys are missing some key players like Kante, Pogba, and Nkunku? Are you worried that you guys might not pass even the second
Not necessarily, because France still has enough to definitely get out of this group. Just to weigh in on Bones' concern, Josh, quickly, for the viewers. He mentioned his concerns with the system, but to be fair to Deschamps, while France sets up with a back 3 in possession, it really becomes 4 at the back, because Lucas Hernandez basically is one who will drift to the left. His brother will be playing so far up the pitch that he's almost going to not be seen as a member of the defensive group. I understand what Bones is saying, but really and truly, it's just on paper, because France's attack is so predicated on the left side that Pavard is going to fill in almost like an inverted fullback and to help numbers in terms of midfield. Rabiot is also going to. So I think that's my issue with the system. Not necessarily on the fact that 3 of them. It's just that there is also going to be so much dependence on that left-hand side. And yes, you mentioned Coman. Coman is a good option, because while I don't necessarily rate him, what he does do is that he's that old-fashioned winger. He'll basically have the paint from the touchline on his boots at the end of the game, because he hugs and he stretches the pitch. He keeps the pitch wide, so he gives players like Griezmann, who operates in the half space, more time on the ball. While at Dembele, he has that ability, but he also likes to come infield, and because he's on the pedal in terms of being able to use both feet, he will come in on his left foot, which is not equally as strong as his right, and he'll close the pitch, and you won't have a Pavard who is going to go beyond him much, because that's not Pavard's real game. So that's my issue, not necessarily on the system per se, but the fact that based on who he has as his disposal, he may very well be concentrated on all his attacks, or most of his attacks, down that left-hand side, and that can be negated. And you mentioned Denmark. Denmark will pose a problem, because Denmark was able to beat France comfortably the last time out, Josh, because they were able to dominate midfield, because they outnumbered France in midfield. Look at the players who they have at their disposal. Obviously Eriksen, but there's Højbjerg, and there's also Thomas Delaney, who's severely overrated. There's Jesper Lindstrom, who plays for Eintracht Frankfurt, who is one who's primed for a big move, 22 years old, and able to play right behind whoever they have up front, whether it's Dahlberg or Poulsen. So they will be a team that will definitely push France all the way. I'm not necessarily confident that France is going to beat them convincingly, because it's going to be a difficult game, because based on who they have and their style of play, I think they match up really, really well against France. And we've seen that the last two times out, like Bones mentioned, that they were able to beat France.
Yeah.
So
And the
basically,
thing,
in that game against Denmark, Ham, you're basically expecting Denmark to dominate the majority of the possession, while France try to counter attack them.
Not necessarily.
no, no.
Not necessarily, but because the system is that it really calls for someone like Pavard to help in terms of playing as an inverted fullback, as opposed to a traditional fullback who is going to maraud forward and overlap. He'll basically underlap and come inside to help on the likes of Tchouameni and Rabiot in terms of that midfield number, so that they are not outnumbered, like how they were outnumbered, especially in that last time that they played in the Nations League, because Denmark had so much time on the ball. People like Højbjerg, they weren't pressed, and they were able to find Eriksen operating in that half space, and he was able to pull the strings and basically pull France all over the pitch, and they were able to beat France quite comfortably on the day.
Okay, welcome to the podcast, the voice himself, Mr. Kens, right? What do you make of this French team or the French squad?
Seriously, England will not talk about that time and jump out.
No, man, so it's that one.
But
The defending champions, by the way, guys.
listen, there is not much, after Ham talking, there's really not much I can say. The only thing is, I'm looking at the French team, and I'm looking at one particular player who I hear is a superstar. Right? I hear this one's a superstar. I hear he's carrying the mantle for France, but I don't like his, and I don't know if Ham will agree, but him can chime in after. But I don't like his attitude, and I know for PSG and thing, but I think even for France, I don't see the same desire, and I guess PSG started for him, but I don't see the same desire. I don't see the same fight. I don't see the same hunger. And I think when it matters most, and I've seen it in the Champions League for PSG, and I've seen it in other competition, but when it matters most, it just seems like this man disappeared. And I'm looking at that forward, Mbappe, and I'm saying, I think if he comes to the party, I think it's going to be very difficult to beat France, right? Obviously, I'm an English fan, but I think if he comes to the party, if he's locked in and ready to play, very disciplined, no hanky-panky, no diva behavior. So I'm looking at him. All the other players that have mentioned, okay, sure, no problem. But I'm looking at Mbappe right here, and I'm saying, if he comes to the party, then it's all over. I think France can, find them way probably into the semi-finals. But if he's coming with the same diva behavior, I think it's going to be an early exit for them.
No, one thing, Kems, me can assure you, if Mbappe come with that sort of behavior where you talk about, he not play. Deschamps not playing. May I tell you that straight up, him not playing.
Who
I
did
hardly
play?
doubt that, no bones.
Eh?
I
You
hardly
doubt it, but he's a heavy disciplinarian. That's who he is. He's not going
Yes,
to
he
allow,
is.
because
Yeah.
remember, over the years, France always have their little problems there, right?
He's
We
a
want one.
disciplinarian, yes, but I think the politics of French football kind of interfere.
No, and me think him make him mark for put him on the bench if him a go disrupt the team.
Because, like, for example, the president of France, Emmanuel Macron, he's known to be a big Mbappe fan, and he tends
We
to
don't care about him. We care about the World Cup.
which team or we want the teams to play and so
We-
forth. Like,
hey,
he's trying to interfere.
We
with
don't care about. You think if wait no, you know me not like Rabiot. You think if he score a double in the finals, me gonna have a problem? And
I
France
don't
leave the
know
World Cup.
you just want to know that you guys win.
Exactly. So if Mbappe I go on with the behavior where we know him go on with at the World Cup, bench him. I don't care. Me don't know how I'm feel about it. Me don't care. Put them belly on the right and Koeman on the left.
Totally.
Me don't care.
Totally agree with you, Bones. And yes, Kems, I have similar concerns because we have seen where he has sometimes down his tools and not even tried for Paris Saint-Germain. But as Bones rightfully mentioned, Josh, Deschamps is someone who he's his own man. Remember, this is someone who has done it at the highest level, has won
with
all of these
Benzema.
prizes as captain nonetheless, and he played with clearly the greatest French player of this generation. Debate still rage whether Zidane was better than Platini. That's for another day. But I'm just telling you, and we saw where he made an example of Karim Benzema, who at the time would have been a sure starter in any French team, where he basically made an example with that Valbuena incident. So he has previous where he has disciplined players. He has called out Kamavinga for not improving aspects of his game. So this is someone who is not going to take lightly to any form of insubordination. So I definitely see him doing what Bones is proposing that be done if in the event that Mbappe has one of his tantrums and decides to be a petulant child.
What do
Yeah,
you think regarding both? Do you think both can work, Benzema and Mbappe up front? So far, it
yeah,
hasn't really worked that well.
Definitely. We
it can
saw
work.
we saw we saw where they did brilliantly when Benzema came back during that Nations League in 2021, right after crashing out at the Euros. We saw where he was basically almost a perfect foil for Benzema because Benzema has that innate ability to drop deep. He's not just a goal scorer, which we have seen later on in his career. He's someone who made his name off playing almost like a 9.5, somewhere between a 9 and a 10. The perfect foil for people like Ronaldo, Higuain of yesteryear. So I have no issues with him playing with either Giroud or Benzema because Giroud also brings out the best aspects of Mbappe's game because he's able to drop deep and Mbappe has that pace we all know to run in behind. And then Benzema has that playmaking ability to his game. And then with someone like Theo Hernandez, that's why he's so important because he adds that dynamism down the left hand side, Theo Hernandez. So
Yeah, that's right.
that's why I think he is a part of the squad. Because remember, this is someone who was basically shown the door at Real Madrid because of his lack of defensive nose and who has basically forged a very successful career at AC Milan and now a sure starter in the French team. That's Theo Hernandez.
Yes, Bones, you were saying something?
Sorry, Ham go really far. But if me draw back to one more example about how disciplined our coaches. If we remember, I had Dembele in the leading up to the last World Cup as well was disciplined. Even though he brought him, he basically didn't play him that much. If he played him any at all, I can't remember. But he had some problems too where he was telling him to when Dembele had this problem at Barca where he was calling him sick and they catch him at home playing video games when he should be at training and all of them tongue and him discipline him. So me not expect and a matter of fact, me don't know how true these stories are, but there are rumors out there that this is his last World Cup, that is our coach, right? And that Zidane is a high possibility of taking over sometime after the World Cup, right? So if this is his last World Cup, if he mad enough to make Kylian Mbappe spoil that, then he make him spoil it. But he not go spoil it with me and him. I watch France because if he must spoil it, me I can't watch France. Me I tell you that.
All right. I'm going to
Josh,
yes, Mr. Ham.
Josh, quickly. And I'm not comparing Mbappe's standing with someone like a Nasri, but remember when Nasri was at the peak of his powers, and we thought that yes, he would be included. Deschamps didn't carry him because of the drama that surrounded Samir Nasri. Someone like he is someone who just doesn't go for the nonsense. We have seen several incidents. Dimitri Payet we know arguably the most talented French playmaker of the last 5, 6 years, was a big part player even at the peak of his powers because of his
Yeah.
off the field antics.
Yeah, he was kind of
Sadly, he's
he was tough on
35, so he's a bit long in the tooth.
yeah, he was tough on those players that get caught up in that scandal 2015, 2016 there, but it was very tough on them regarding picking for France. The second team in the group, highest seeded team is Denmark. The voice, Ken, what you make of Denmark? That Denmark side in Group B.
The great United baller is on the team, correct? The best
Yeah,
signing,
the great.
the best signing United making in the last 2 years. But listen,
Yeah,
it,
the baller that might allow Denmark to have a greater position than France
yeah, listen.
in that
You
matchup.
know, when I go back to, obviously, I am one of those fans. I'm not like Hamway and Levon who study them thing inside out and know every single. No, not at all. Right? I am a biased, sexy fan and not only like the sexy teams. Denmark wasn't sexy to me until the last World Cup. I started watching them and I said, "Oh, nah." And I started taking Denmark, and I said, this team will really playing some good football. And I see a lot of persons, especially in the media, a lot of persons have them as the dark horse and say, hey,
You're talking
don't.
Euros, right?
Yeah,
Euros.
yeah, it was
Euros.
Euros. Yeah, it was
Yeah,
Euros. Yeah,
my
my fault. It was Euros. Yeah,
yeah.
and I take a look and I see a lot of media personally are saying that, hey, Denmark is the dark horse. Watch out for Denmark. Watch out for Denmark. And I'm looking at them, and I'm looking at the team, and I'm looking at the makeup of the team. I still think they're missing probably a couple pieces in order to really challenge the big guns out of this group. I definitely think they can get out of this group. Again, it depends on the matchup with France and who shows up best on the day. But for the overall totality, I think they have a ceiling, and for me, that ceiling is probably the quarterfinals. I don't think they can go further than there, based on the side of the group that they're on and the talent that is in the overall World Cup. But I think they'll be fun to watch. I think they play team football. I don't think they play hero ball. They share the football. They love playing with each other. And I see the coach have a personality for the team, right? So when I'm looking at those things, and again, the Eriksen thing will happen. Listen, I know as human beings, them thing they must in your mind still.
Right.
It must in your mind. It must play for your mind and thing. But hey, he
If it don't
seems
play
to
for
be.
the fans' mind, much less him.
Bro, every time I watch a man play football, I
Yeah,
worry. Every time I
yeah,
see
me
a
worried
hard
too.
tackle, I'm worrying. But
Yeah.
Denmark, they can make some noise, but I definitely think that they have a ceiling.
And Denmark is basically, Denmark is a perfect example of what resources can do. Trust me.
Yeah,
Just
but
5 million people, and the resources are they have pumped into football is
y-
enormous.
yes, but Josh,
Yes,
but
boys.
Josh, Denmark will be riding on what me and Ham has been saying this evening. They have gotten the better of France in the Nations Cup over the last two meetings, which was very recent, right? So they will be high in confidence that they can actually tap this group, right? Now, for France to do well and not be bombarded by the early exit of the champions, of the previous champions, right? They have to do well against Australia, which we are expecting them to do. Now, I don't know if the Denmark game is the second game or third game. Is it the second or third?
Let me check.
But if it would be interesting if it's the second game, right? No, Denmark will be hoping that 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 Australia can hold France to at least a draw, right? And ride on the confidence that they have beaten them. But let me tell you, France is a
It's the
tournament
second
team.
game.
It's the
It
second
says
game.
the second.
Okay, so
Yeah.
there you go. So you're expecting maybe both teams to win the first game, and then that second game, with France having what we would say having the who we're expecting to finish fourth in the group as their last game, that gives them a strong chance of progressing to the next round, right? But what for France, it is very important that they do not finish second in that group to cross over to the other side. They want to stay on that side where they'll face other European competitors who they have the ability of beating the Belgiums, the Germany, the Portuguese, and of course the English, who I think with if everything goes well, it might be a England France ish quarter final, right? And if everybody wins their group, right? Now that makes for a good showing, right? So for me, it is very important that France do well in that very first game, because even if you lose to um to Denmark, which you have done over the last two games, which gives me absolutely no confidence, then what happens is that you cross the other side to play the Argentinas of this world and the Brazils of this world and all of those teams on the other side, right? So it is very important that France do very well versus Australia and at least come up with a draw, possibly, or a win versus Denmark. So at the end of the day, they need to do well, because Denmark is going to come with a lot of confidence that they can top this group, to be honest.
Mr. Ham, what you made of that Denmark team, Danish team? Yes, Rowan.
They were impressive in qualifying, guys. They won the first 9 games on the calendar. They lost the last one, but they had already long wrapped up qualification to the tournament proper. When you look at the team, Josh, yes, we mentioned some of the names already, but the spine of the team is very, very strong. Schmeichel, yes, he's getting up there in age, mid-30s now, but still very, very competent goalkeeper. Centre backs, Christensen, Simon Kjær, the captain, injured for the majority of the last 12 months, but back up to full fitness and has made a few appearances for AC Milan right on the eve of the tournament. So it's a very, very strong, well-drilled team. The coach doesn't deviate from his tried and proven. I think Dahlberg will lead the line, but Poulsen from Leipzig offers a viable option. He is a bit more physical, more robust, so he gives a focal point, while Dahlberg has the pace to run in behind. Lindstrom, about a time for him, I think he's going to have this as his coming out part. What Eric, he will be.
Yeah, breaking up a bit. Yeah, so Denmark, yes, you're back, All right, you're breaking up a bit. So in also in that group we have Australia and Tunisia, right? So
For
the vice
big things all those years ago when he was on the books of Bayern Munich. So I think it's a very, very good team. I think they're going to give France a lot of trouble, but I think France has the ability to arrest those two last results and to get one over the Danes. But I expect the Danes to be the second team going through from the group.
Okay, so as in that group we have Tunisia, that's around 30th in the world on the FIFA list, and Australia 39th. Kenzie, you expecting anything from these two teams? One from Africa, one from Oceania. What do you think of both of them?
Nothing. They're just,
Or you just remember Tunisia that England beat the first match last World Cup?
There's a certain amount of teams that have to be in the group, and we thank Australia for coming and participating, and we also thank Tunisia for doing so as well. But I think a night like tonight, we want to focus on the big teams and the big guns. This is just for me personally. Ham and Sherwin probably have a different perspective, but I don't expect these teams to challenge the two teams that we spoke about earlier before. Right, the two teams that we spoke about earlier before are going places. They're not only there for a participation trophy. I think these two teams are there to participate and to enjoy Qatar, and I think that's exactly what they'll do and go right back home.
For your vacation time.
Any views on them, Bones?
Me not have a disrespect no team, but me feel the same way. Okay,
All
We
right.
think never go participate, but and I given the anything can happen. We saw Croatia in the last World Cup, who everyone probably did not give a single chance to reach to that World Cup final, right? And they did so. A ball round and anything can happen. But me expect them to just participate.
You and Kim Zoran, man, I have a next group coming up that you guys are going to be going to have it a hard time to pick a second place. When Mr. Ham, what do you make of these two?
Well, in the case of Australia, we know how they went about qualifying based on where they are located. Tunisia, they punched above their weight because I didn't expect them to make it this far, and I think that this is a bridge too far for them guys. Totally agree with the other two guys in terms of them just being there because you struggle to make a case for Tunisia. Australia, they will make it difficult, they will make it physical, but gone are the days when you had people like Viduka, Harry Kewell, people of that ilk. I think Matt Ryan will be their best player. He's the goalkeeper, and I think he will be a very busy man when the tournament starts. For Tunisia, I think their hopes lie with Wabi Kazri. And I think Kazri, while he's still plundering goals in the French league, I think this tournament probably is one that the Tunisians will face reality that they have gone as far as their talent will allow them. So definitely expect the two European giants in the group to battle for a top spot. So I think they are clearly the two best teams in this section. But I think it all will hinge on that meeting on match day 2 when you have the Danes playing against the world champions, because I think that will determine the winner, because I expect them to take 6 points from the likes of Tunisia and also Australia.
All right. On to our next group. Number 5th ranked team. That's the Three Lions, known as England, right? They're in Group B, along with Iran, the USA, and Wales. A lot of persons think that this group is one of the easiest groups. Not sure about that, but our Three Lions fans on the show, Mr. Voice, the voice himself, Kems, right? I know that you will have a lot to say about this England team. What are your thoughts on England, their coach, and their chances in this World Cup?
So I'll talk about the coach first. You know, I mean, I think he made thus from an overall squad standpoint. Um, apart from my personal feelings about some of the players, I understand the rationale why he brought some players, right? And I think the way this England manager thinks is that he wants to go with his soldiers who have been with him in battles before, you know. So again, the Harry Maguires who probably don't play in a ball game, he wants him. The Calvin Phillips, who people say only play 30 minutes, he wants him too, right? Because these are players who are battle tested with him and who have brought him success. Even the Raheem Sterling, where people were saying, "Oh, I'm not for goal, I'm not for da da da." Raheem Sterling have played well when they play for England, right? And I think a John Stones and a Harry Maguire partnership, is probably one of the best partnerships that is out there on the England front, right? Now, my worry about it now is that how is he going to play, the players he's going to use, and the system, right? Because again, we can't hide the fact that Trippier has probably been the best right back up until this point, the best England right back, the best English right back, right? And I'm talking about on both sides. We're not talking only about attack. Demon not here, but Demon would tell me how much assist Trent have and all of them something, right? But we also have to defend, right? And I think having Trippier there, and I think I was looking at I don't remember, I think it was Rooney's 11 that he had chosen, and I was kind of going that way, but I wanted Maguire, Stones, the goalkeeper. Honestly, I would go with Pickford again because these are players that I've seen in the biggest moment and I've seen them perform. Right, so those are who I'm going to go with. The left back business again. I don't know what Southgate going to. Mr. Southgate use right back player left back, right? And him have a natural left back there. So again, it just really depends. My problem now becomes in the middle of the pitch, and I've talked about him all season, and people are gonna beat me, oh blah blah blah. But again, Declan Rice, and I'm not talking about Declan playing against the USA and the Ireland and the Wales. I'm talking about when you have to go up against all of those names where I'm just named in at the France midfield, the Argentinian midfield, the Brazil midfield. Can Rice do enough in the middle of the park in order to steer England in the right direction? Right now, what I've seen, my answer is no. I think he'll be outplayed every single time against those big guns. But again, now we'll move forward, and I'm looking at our forward line again. I think it was said about Harry Kane is the first time Harry Kane must score so much goals in August. So I think Harry Kane is playing well. Obviously, we saw what Phil Foden has been doing all season. He has been scoring goals. He has been assisting. Saka has kind of been hot and cold. Again, Sterling has been hot and cold. New team, two coaches, all that kind of stuff. But I think if the coach can get it right, again, Nations League, obviously we were poor. And I think Declan came out and said, yeah, these guys score a lot of goals in training. So I can just write off the Nations League. But looking at this team, just on paper, I would say this team is one of the favorites.
And that's what's the Rooney lineup that you mentioned.
Yeah, so this is it. So my only change would have probably be, would I forget Trent a bench and would have put Trippier there because I think Trippier has been outstanding, right? And I think going forward, I don't think there's much disparity between Trent and Trippier. I don't think there's much going forward. If Trent is better, he's just a little bit better. Dead ball situations, I think Trippier is excellent there. So looking at this team, go ahead, Josh.
Yeah, I love this team, but yeah, as you said, I think I love this team as well. Changes I'll make though is a bit risky given that they don't have much tournament experience. So I would take out Maguire, put in Ben White, as well as Pickford and put in Ramsdale.
Ben White?
Yes, I would put Ben White
But why would you put Ben White to play with Stokes when Maguire and Stokes are still playing in the last two?
Yeah, that's why I said it's going to be a bit risky, but I think the situation with Maguire off form and not playing a lot of games, and then Ben White having a superb season at the back for Arsenal is the main reason.
Yeah, but looking at this team, Josh,
I wanted Maguire to play a lot more games though, and that's my issue with him.
But if me can interject, if Kems allow me to. Yes, Kems or no?
Good.
Okay, so but we don't have concern about Calvin Phillips and the amount of minutes he plays so far for City.
Yes, and Phillips as well.
I mean,
me have concern about that. Me know the preferred midfield. Me know the preferred two pivot is him and Rice, but me have concern about Phillips not playing enough minutes. And again, Trent Alexander-Arnold cannot play over Trippier.
Yes, I forgot to mention that one too. Trent, Trippier has to play there as well.
But but in terms of the front four, I agree with the front four. It should be young and dynamic and very entertaining. And this front four, I think, can cause a lot of damage in the road.
That's what I like most about the team. So the front four. That's what I like really about.
Yeah, but we know Sema play Sterling over Foden. Yeah. We know that.
Or probably Sterling over Saka.
Or Sterling over Saka, which not gonna work. We don't like that.
Because again, looking at this coach and just looking at how he has operated, it's just a trust factor. People who believe him can trust. People who have been there, Manchester United, go do a bunch of garbage. Right? Yeah. So again,
he was actually one of the top centre backs at Euros in the Euros.
Right, that's true.
And it does all about the man go United and it's like the man forget does a simple basics.
Yeah.
Right? So I'm looking again, looking at this team, and again, I think for the Euros, we can say, England got, quote unquote, lucky this side, that side, but I think, sometimes it's better to be lucky than good.
Good.
And I think a bit of luck will have to be played if for England to win it. Right now, I don't have them winning it. I have them within the same stage as I had Denmark within the quarterfinals, probably trying to sneak into a semifinals. But I don't think this group, will be easy because I don't remember the year, Josh. I can remind me of the year when we had USA in the group, Trinidad in the group, and we had all the
2006.
Yeah, 2006.
2006, right.
we had all the
2006.
big names out there, the
All of
Gerrards
the
of
games,
the
the
world, the
Beckham,
Lampards of the world, everybody.
everybody
And they drop out.
Struggling.
They drop out early.
They
struggling.
were struggling
Right.
against these
I
teams.
think that first match against Iran is going to be too tight. It's either a draw or a 1-0 win.
Which one?
Versus who?
The first game on Monday. That's the second game of the tournament. England versus Iran, 8 a.m.
Oh no, man!
Oh, no, man. That should be fine.
Yeah?
That should be fine.
I think we're more likely
Should be
to
fine.
beat. Kim, you said that you are expecting them to be around the quarterfinals, right? I think that your expectation is based. Correct me if I'm wrong. Is based on Southgate.
I mean, also Southgate, and because if I'm not mistaken, they're on the same side of the bracket as France, right?
Yeah, they are the same side as bracket as France.
Yeah. I don't. If them and France play, I don't see them beating France at all.
If they play France, and that front four play France, it should be interesting.
Again, but I agree with you, Sherwin, with the front four because again, we're young, dynamic,
Right.
expressive, want to go out there, want to prove a point, and again, don't let us not forget. I think Saka is still, after what happened with that penalty, that's still playing on his mind. He wants to come, he wants to show up. Obviously, there's no Sancho there, so So I'm looking and I'm saying England can do a thing, but I've learned to keep my expectations at a minimum when it comes to England. So
quarterfinals as well. Mr. Ham, what's you made of this English team? And Mr. Ham is one of those persons always critical of England over the years. I remember on CVM World Cup, he said that England, and he was correct. So I think he's around 2010 years old. He's not expecting much from them for that tournament. But what are you expecting for this tournament, though, Mr. Ham?
Well, based on what Kim's mentioned, I would totally concur with him. I think Southgate, one of those managers who basically goes with the horses that have done it for him. And to be fair to Southgate, he has made a good fist of it because managers much more heralded than himself have not gotten England to semi-finals of the World Cup or the finals of the Euro. Yes, they failed, and it was gut-wrenching because of how they exited those tournaments because they were close to beating Croatia, and then Ivan Perisic arrived, and then we know what happened in the European finals when they scored early doors.
Chances too.
Precisely, they had a plethora of chances to put that game to bed. And even in the Euros, they scored so early through Luke Shaw, and then the Italians, being Italians, they found the resolve to fight back. But based on who he has available in terms of anything resembling form, I think there were no major surprise. Yes, you could make a case for an Ivan Toney, but Callum Wilson has done very well nonetheless. And I think really and truly, Toney would definitely have been a distinct second option at best because, Harry Kane will lead that line. Sterling hasn't really done the business for Chelsea, but we know that he has done well he's one of those players who plays well for his national team. Even Danny Welbeck used to play well for England when he was misfiring for whether it be Man United or Arsenal. He was someone who used to do the business once he pulled on that Three Lions jersey. So you have some of those players. I heard mention of Ben White. White has done well this season, but let us not be fooled. He has done well playing in right back position, and I think in terms of who he has available, I think Trippier would start for me based on the fact that Trippier has been there, has done that. I see people mentioning because the thing is, we're not even sure if he's going to play with a back three or he's going to play with a back four. He has shown in the past where he loves to use Kyle Walker as a third centre back. So it's still debatable. We're not sure how fit Walker
To be
will be.
honest, Mr. I think this is the back five, back three or back five is going to use. He's going to use Trippier, Kyle Walker, Maguire, Stones, Luke Shaw.
Precisely.
I have no doubt that is how he's going to go.
So the argument that he's going to use a back four, I am not necessarily sold on that because we've seen where he is someone who tends to go with a back three, definitely looking for security, for the likes of Maguire at the back. I think they should have enough in this group, but this is a group that is quite dangerous because we haven't gotten to the Iranian team, but when you look at some of those players, I think Azmoun is a very, very big danger, but he has been injured just past fit. We're not sure how fit he will be when the tournament starts. Taremi has been in the form of his life for Porto. Yes, late bloomer. Had some run-ins in 2018, but remember this is a team that pushed the likes of Spain and Portugal to the hilt last time around, and they were this close to advancing from what many would have considered a group that they had no business of even attempting to advance from to begin with. So I think they will be
pragmatic and hard to score a lot of goals.
Precisely, and they're technically sound players. I think they dating back to people like Ali Daei, Karim Bargheri, people in the 1990s. They were like that, pragmatic, but they know how to get the job done, and you're not going to embarrass them. So I think you're going to find that it's going to be a tough fight. We saw even 2014 where they pushed Argentina all the way. Messi had to score in injury time to get Argentina over them. So they have shown resolve on this stage. The Americans, I think, they have a big question mark. They have a lot of talent. The talent pool is very wide for America now. But I think England should have the beating of this group. But they have not necessarily been in the best of form, some of these players. And some of them, I think, are still finding their way at international level. People like Saka, people like Foden, people like Bellingham, obviously talented players who are primed to be entering the peak of their careers. But I think they still have question marks. Sterling not necessarily in the best of form right now. Declan Rice still unproven at this level, as Kim's rightfully mentioned. Maguire had
He's kind of off form as well, Declan Rice.
Precisely, Calvin Phillips.
Off form at the wrong time.
Yes, because last season he was pulling up trees.
Yeah, he was pulling up very well, and he did well at the Euros. But
precisely,
since this year, he has been well off form.
Yep, and even for West Ham, he hasn't done the business. And I think this has coincided, guys, with a downturn in form for the club team. West Ham, they have started the season poorly, and I think his performances has also mirrored that of his club. So I think there are question marks over this team, definitely. Luke Shaw did well last year. I think he has regressed. There's so many issues. When you look at these players, probably the only person you would see entering in what you consider to be close to their top form, Harry Kane and Kieran Trippier, because as Kim's rightfully mentioned, this is probably the first Harry Kane has scored so many goals
at this stage of the season.
In the autumn, because he's normally someone who struggles to score in August and September and then starts banging the goals midway through the season towards the latter part or the business part at the end of the season. So I think those are the two players who definitely are in form. I think this English team, they have the weapons, they have the tools, but I still have some concerns about them dominating this group. They should advance, but I don't see them running amok against any of these three competitors.
Earlier on, you mentioned about you think it's the right team that Southgate picked based on, you said if Ivan Toney could have entered. What about the player from Sporting, Marcus Edwards?
No. Ed was talented, but in terms of the position that he plays, because I'm thinking based on the squad composition, Josh. Ed was, for those who don't know, He's left-footed. He leads the line for Sporting, but he's really at best a second striker. Left-footed. Actually, was on the books of Tottenham for many, many years, and was seen as the one next to break through, but had some disciplinary issues, and he was sent away. Has really found his feet in Portugal at Sporting. We saw him in the Champions League doing very well, but I think he would have been competing in this squad based on his skill set against a Bukayo Saka and also a Phil Foden, because they are players of basically his ilk, same skill set, left-footed, low center of gravity, and I think while he definitely is still only 23. I think these players were a little ahead of him in terms of the pecking order. People like Sancho, if you had selected this team in 2020, Sancho would have been a nail-down, probably starter. And he has fallen off a cliff to the point where there has been no feedback in terms of people, no outcry of him not being selected because he has been so poor. Rashford, I think, thankfully for him, he made a case because he started the season well, and he offers England something different because he has that ability to be strong in 1v1, and he also
can be probably a super sub.
He's direct. He has an X factor. He's hit and miss. He's almost like a proverbial scattergun. He can hit and he can definitely miss. But I think he's a good option to have in the squad because he gives them something different as opposed to the other players that are there.
Bones, what did you make of this squad?
A squad good, man. Everybody with their yard. The squad is there to win the World Cup for England. That's what me I say. I mean, I'll be biased because this is a World Cup. We don't need to be biased about World Cup. See, England have the squad to win the World Cup and they have it right at Qatar right now. See, it's all about if they can get it right? If they can get it right, if they can get the players clicking and at the right moments. Remember, this is a team that did well in the Euros, even though they lost in the finals to Italy. They did really well.
We did well in the last World Cup too. Don't forget that.
Yeah, we did well in the last World Cup.
Yeah, so I don't know why people writing England off. I'm not writing England off. The road to the semi-finals might be tough, and once they get to the semi-finals, it's anybody's game, right? But they do stand a big chance with the squad that they have. But for me, listen, I'm here listening to Kems and listening to Ham, and I'm thinking, I don't remember which one of them talk about. No, it was somebody that commented that say him don't know why England are bring so much right backs or whatever. Me think Southgate's keep like people don't understand the pressure when Southgate got under from the media itself. When they come on to England and picking his squad, picking his team. Yeah, he's not a downright.
Do you think it's media pressure?
Every England manager, every single one of them, everyone, media pressure. This is the first year that I've seen the media, the British media, not give England a chance to actually go to the World Cup final, and that is very surprising, and that is a change, right? Is it a change for the best? I do not know. But the talent for me, as I said before, the talent of the English four, the informed English four right now, which will be Harry Kane, Jude, Saka, and Foden. It's very exciting. These are four players who are on top form. Well, Saka a little bit less in hot and cold, but he's getting back to his best, right? And these are very exciting young players. As Kems rightfully said, Saka have something to prove based off of the European finals disappointment. Foden was in and out. He will have something to prove. Jude getting his first big call up to the team. Yeah, he will have something to prove. Not Foden, Jude. Yeah, Jude. He will have something to prove as well. And these players surrounding the likes of Harry Kane or the likes of Rashford, they will give energy to the team, and they will. My biggest concern is that midfield of England. I cannot see Calvin Phillips making that English midfield right now. I know that is what is going to happen with him and Declan Rice, but it kinda hard right now for Calvin. People might cuss me out for this and disagree with me for this, but let me tell you, I would rather have Declan Rice beside Madison right now over starting Calvin Phillips, who have only played 60 minutes or less than 90 minutes so
I think
far
he's
this
going to do
season.
what he do in Nation League. He's going to start Jude alongside Declan Rice.
And
Mm.
well, if he
That's what he's
starts
going to
Jude,
do.
then if he starts Jude beside Declan Rice, then I want to see Madison behind Harry Kane. Simple as that.
This is what he's going to do. He's going to start
Then
Saka, Kane, Sterling, Jude, and Declan.
Sterling is going to be a big mistake if he starts Sterling. Sterling
No,
is not on any
I'm not
form.
seeing him dropping Sterling at
And
all.
it is time for the English to realize that when players not the farm, they just not the farm. Sit
No,
them
but
down on the bench.
you can't say that, Sherwin, because it has been proven the last time in the Euros, everybody there beat Sterling. Sterling of a play, and he was
The
one
outstanding
of the
player.
English standouts in the league. So again, so this is the thing, right? Again, Southgate does go with people who he believes, who he has been with battle with, and who have performed for him.
So he
Yeah,
can trust them. So basically go with the persons that he can trust.
Yeah, because
if,
Mhm.
no, but in Saka too. In
Yeah, because
Saka.
this is why I'm going to play soccer.
Yeah, in Saka down the right hand side.
I think he's going to put a bench for them. Depends
You think he might bench for then?
depending on the games. That's what he did at Euros. He played in
Right
some
now,
games, but he's going
right
to play
now,
soccer over.
right now,
Sterling.
I would play Rashford over Sterling
all right,
on
no,
that left
no,
hand side.
no, you're getting crazy. No, you're getting
Yeah,
No,
yeah.
no. Me not get crazy.
The only
No.
so my only issue, because my last thing I gotta say, my only issue that I have with Southgate is in-game management.
Yeah.
There have been some games, even in that same Euro finals, against Italy. You
Right.
know, there was some times in the game where I believe we needed a substitution. We needed a particular player to come and run at these all the Italian
Italians.
defenders.
Yeah, yeah.
And I guess Southgate plan was, well, we're going to go to penalty and see what happens from this one.
He
So
was
I
trying to
think,
hold out for that 1-0 actually
yes,
win.
yeah. So I
Yeah.
think what I'd like to see from Southgate is playing to win instead of playing not to lose, right? Because I think he plays a lot not to lose. So he played safe, play this
Yeah.
player. No, go there. You have the
Reactive football.
players win the game.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that
He
is
always plays safer.
and that is the reason why we can kind of agree, say, our favorite back front four, him not go play the front four there because him a go want play safe.
Yeah. I don't think he's going to play that front four either.
But
So Kens, since you have England top in the group, right? Because the question now is second place, because this group is harder to pick a second place team. Who, along with England, you have going through
My second team.
their second team?
Yeah, my
USA.
second team, the
Oh,
USA.
USA.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, I forgot that you are an American. What about you, Mr. Ham?
Well, when you look at the available talent that the US has at its disposal, then you would be urged to select the US right off the bat. But as I mentioned before, the Iranians, they will be a tough nut to crack. I think Azmoun, if he is paired with Taremi, I think they can definitely trouble the US centre backs, because I think the US are far from centre. Not sure about Zimmerman and Long. I see where they drafted in Tim Ream. Yes, 35, but he has been doing well for Fulham. But I think they're while the US, they look good on paper, especially in the attacking areas. I think there are issues throughout that team. US, I would have a question mark over them, but I think based on the other teams, then you would go with them. But I'm not as confident as Kim's is, because I think Iran definitely will give them all that they can handle.
All right, Bones, which two teams, well, apart from England, which other team you have going through?
Why the US Wales game is a draw game straight off the bat. Me just see draw written all over that. So it all about who do well versus it all about who beat
Iran,
Iran and who get less from
England.
England. Yeah.
All right. All right. Or the final group that we're going to look at tonight.
Josh,
Yeah.
sorry before you go to the final group, just a word on Wales. I think
Yeah.
there is a why I didn't mention them because while they have a lot of players who football fans in Jamaica would be aware of, many of these players are a bit past their best. People like Joe Allen, obviously Gareth Bale, he's the standard bearer. Aaron Ramsey, who was such an instrumental player when they had that miraculous run to the Euro semi-finals in 2016, putting out the number one team in the world at the time, Belgium, with people like Hal Robson Khan who scored the goal. He didn't have a club at the time, so unheralded was this motley group of players. I think they have players, but my issue is that some of these players are past their best. They do
Awesome.
have fresh young players because they have Daniel James who will offer
But
pace,
don't you think their
if nothing
players
else.
there? But don't you think their group of core players, right, or the first team plays at a higher level than the USA team in terms
Well,
of the leagues that they play?
that's the thing. That well, not necessarily, because when
Um,
you look at the players who the US has at its
they're all over
disposal,
Europe.
people like yes, they're all the way and they're playing for like top clubs. Say what we may about Juventus, but they are a top tier club in terms
In
of
fact, they are actually going back up. They're in the top four in Serie A now. So,
Precisely. No, but I'm referring to because yes, they are actually third based on how well they have done in the last couple of weeks. But people like Weston McKinney, people like Tyler Adams. So the US has all of these players. I'm not even mentioning people like Pulisic, people like Musa, who's at Valencia and prime for a big move, despite his tender years. So they have the players, the US, in terms of the forward areas. But Wales, people like Harry Wilson, people like Brennan Johnson, who is finding his feet in the Premier League at Nottingham Forest. I think Wales has players, but I think some of these key players are a bit long in the tooth and not necessarily in the best of form. Joe Allen is now at the Championship. Aaron Ramsey is now at Nice in France. Gareth Bale, we know, is in LA. But his appearances have been few and far between. Yes, he basically saved himself for the national team, and we saw where he was instrumental in qualifying. But there are too many question marks over this Welsh team. If they turn up, they definitely have the ability. And in Gareth Bale, they have a match winner who can do it, even at 33. If his legs hold up, he still is able to inspire. Ramsey, we're not sure how well he will be able to hold up his aging body, because he has gone through so many injuries. It's too numerous to name, but I'm definitely thinking that Iran is my dark horse in this group because
and talk about this group as well. So, Miss it's kind of strange that this group that might look easy to some persons, they actually have the highest ranking teams on average.
precisely
Yeah, in
precisely
FIFA,
because
in FIFA list, yeah, so
because
England has a tough group based on the
when
rankings.
when this group came out, right off the bat, I was thinking, this is not as easy as
Yeah,
people
no,
are
I
making it
was thinking
out
the
to be,
same too.
because Wales was able to advance, and I had expected Ukraine to be the team to come to World Cup qualifying, the playoff route, but Wales was the one who ultimately
And
did
Wales
so.
Wales is ranked 19, the USA is ranked 14, Iran is ranked 23rd. So it's
Precisely.
actually
So
all the group with
so
4 teams in the top 25.
top 25. So
All the
so
group.
while these are players who are not necessarily heralded in the case of like an Iran or even Wales, because there's some of these players we know them. People like Ben Davies at Tottenham. There is Williams, who was for many years the backup at Liverpool, who's now finding his own niche elsewhere apart from being Trent Alexander-Arnold's understudy. So they have good pieces, Josh. My issue though, Bones, is that I think some of these key players, Allen, Bale and Ramsey, I think they are at the end of their rope. So that's why I didn't go for them initially. But if they can hold up, I wouldn't be surprised if they were able to pull a rabbit out of the hat. But still going to go out on a limb, and I'm going to go with Iran, guys.
And
I think
England.
Iran and England will, but it's going to be a closely fought group, and I think I don't see any team finishing with 9 points because I think all teams have the ability to take points off England.
All right. We'll go to our final group and we'll look at group F, right? So that's Belgium, Canada, that's Bones team, Morocco and Croatia. So Bones, your second country, Canada.
I will tell you that.
Belgium, Morocco, and, and as well as Croatia. What you make? I saw somebody in the comment section that's in Melissa Walker asking about when Canada will be playing. So they will be playing their first game on Sunday, November 27 versus Croatia.
I want next,
And that's
I want
that
next
that's
Canadian that.
yeah, next Canadian, your fellow neighbor, Bones. So what you make of that group?
So why is she concerned about when Canada play?
She's supporting Canada, just like you are supposed to be supporting Canada.
Supposed to very
You're
I like the
supposed
word.
to. Yeah, that's your home country.
I like the word
It's
that
like
you
when
use.
some Arsenal have man Kemsa, I give you a look at least chance to go through. What do you make of that group?
Um, I mean, Canada, Belgium, who?
Canada, Belgium, Croatia,
Morocco.
and
And
Morocco.
Morocco.
A dangerous Morocco team.
One of the things that we have to remember, is that this Canadian team, they were really impressive in qualifying, and they were really playing some really, really, really good football. I think Alfonso Davis got us scared yesterday, scared the other day. Who is our may I say our Lord Jesus? Who you who is our best supposedly best player. Um um but it would have to be a team effort from Canada for them to make it out of this group, honestly. And they would have to step up the notch a little bit and play a little bit more, give a little bit more than they gave in the CONCACAF qualifiers. Um I I don't see them going through just because of the fact of Croatia and Belgium, who I think are most definitely strongest in the group. You might be able to give them a chance versus Morocco, but can you really? Because these teams, what we have learned from the last World Cup is that even though we set up some teams are coming as passengers and just taking a little vacation and go play some ball. What we have learned from the last World Cup is that the two teams that we expect not to make it to the next round always give a fight in their groups, right? So we cannot write out the Canadians. They are riding on the fact that this is their first World Cup in, I don't even remember. See how long it be. Me never born it. That's all me know. Last time Canada go World Cup, but they, they really have a good cohesive unit going to the World Cup, and if the
What about
last
Croatia? Recent poor form though.
yeah
They are
Croatia
blowing hot and cold.
yeah Croatia recent form hasn't been that impressive, but at the end of the day, I still give them the edge to qualify from this group. I don't think they will top the group though, but I think they will qualify from this group. However, as I said, if Canada can at least get a point from the Croatia game on Monday, I will surprise them and beat them, because it can be a change of atmosphere where it's the last World Cup finalist dropping out, and it could be Croatia, right? So it doesn't necessarily have to be the World Cup champ this year. It can be the finalists, the losing finalists. So at the end of the day, I think at the end of the day, no, sure with the Canadian team because I'm not familiar with the Canadian. Honestly, now I follow them. See if I find the Canadian team. So,
Yeah, Mr.
right?
Semi-final. You can go
But
and
no,
talk about
seriously. No,
Belgium.
seriously. Me not follow them, Me not follow them one bit. It
Let me
was
just
to
read
the
out the Belgium team quickly. So because they're the seeded team in the group. So
yeah.
goalkeepers Thibaut Courtois,
Him
Small,
I go keep.
Inole, Cohen Casteels, defenders Toby Alderweireld, Arthur Tate, Zeno de Bas, Jean Vertonghen, Thomas Munier, Timothy Castagne, Wout Vice, Axel Witsel, Kevin De Bruyne for midfielders, Yuri Tillemans, Yannick Carrasco, Leandro Trossard. Everybody know about that, Trossard, right?
Yeah.
Lots of waves in EPL. Amadou Onana, who's also doing well at Everton. Leander Dendonker, Aston Villa. Hans Van Aken. Targan Hazard, that's Eden Hazard brother. For the Forwards, we have Luis Openda, Eden Hazard, Dries Mertens, Charles De Ketelier, Michi Batshuayi, Romelu Lukaku, Jeremy Doku.
Yeah,
So
kind
that's
of,
the
kind of.
Belgium team. They seem to have a pretty. So what you make of them, Bones, the Belgium team? Since you talk about Canada, what you make of them?
Strong team, but I think I don't know. It's somewhat of a aging team now, and we always expect this Belgium team to perform really well again. Another one that has continuously disappointed us. Um, World Cup after World Cup. Very good
They're
midfield,
going to
of
like
course.
the top four. They went to the top four last World Cup. They came third. So what you make of their chances this year? Do you
I
expect them to
don't
reach
see
the
them. I,
quarterfinals?
I've seen more improvement in other countries to give them a chance to make it to the semifinals. To be honest, I've seen more improvement in other countries. I think the French team is stronger than this. I even think the English team is stronger than this team right here. Um, the likes of Brazil, Argentina, Germany still stronger than this team, and it's a high possibility that Germany will play Belgium in I think the quarterfinals or something like that. I can be wrong. So if our predictions for the group go as is, apart from Mr. Ham prediction with Iran finishing second, right? So if it goes as is, there's a possibility that Belgium might meet Germany in the quarterfinals, and that's where I think the campaign will end. I think the Germans are stronger than this team. Eden Hazard hasn't done much. Um, Mertens, he's where now? Galatasaray. I don't know
He's
how it will
35 now.
on 35. Um, we can't call the name, yes, so. Maybe Ham can maybe call name. Me can't call no name in the forward line. We say me afraid of them man, yeah.
All right. Well,
Yeah, you say that
for Jeremy Doku is seen as the bright young Belgian talent, injury prone
Right.
at Rennes. We saw him fleetingly at the Euros. Basically, he was being given all the ball because he has an X factor bones. 1v1 dynamic dribbler still needs to work on his end product. But when he's isolated against any defender, he can skin them for either pace or the sheer skill. He is a box of tricks. Charles Ketelier got the big move from Club Brugge. He's now doing his thing at AC Milan. Still
Mhm.
finding his feet. He is not necessarily an out and out number nine. He plays more as a second striker, so you'll see him playing in that space. So I think these are options that definitely Roberto Martinez would be well advised to have up his sleeve because you know he'll go with the Lukaku, the Eden Hazard, and he'll play Kevin De Bruyne in an advanced position. And I think he's going to use Yannick Ferreira Carrasco as a left wing back because he's going to go with the back three. I
So
think the issue.
I'm
Yes,
sorry. So
yes, go
so
on.
Lukaku and Eden Hazard scare you?
No, definitely not. Not at this stage. Obviously, in 2018, they gave France all that we could handle, and we were lucky, I dare say, because over the course of 90 minutes, they really carried the fight to the French, and France was able to get past them, and we saw where they put Brazil out in the previous round because they were dynamic as a front two. Lukaku has been injury prone since returning to Inter. Hazard, we know of his issues subsequent to the 2018 World Cup. Since he left Ryan's team, fate has not been kind for him. But I still expect them to start favourites in all three games. Josh, I think Morocco, as you mentioned, dangerous outfit.
Yeah, they're dangerous.
Dangerous outfit. Canada was impressive in qualifying. Bones is distancing himself from the team. Lots of young players, young pieces. The aging Atiba Hutchinson. Hutchinson has been around from people like Theodore Whitmore playing for Jamaica. He's approaching his 40th year. He'll be 40 in February, I think, of next year. So it's two ends of the spectrum, because you have people like Tejan Buchanan, people like Alphonso Davies who are still very, very young, early 20s, while Hutchinson is approaching his 40th year. So there's a mix there. There's a bondness that we saw in qualifying, that they were difficult to play against. They play as a team. There's no ego. Jonathan David is the man who will carry the leader line, along with Larin, who actually is their all-time top goal scorer. So many persons would think that David is the man, but in terms of scoring the goals, Larin is the man who has done it repeatedly for the Canadians. So I think they will be expected to be the ones carrying the fight for Canada, along with Julian Hoylett, Josh, who would remember from his time at Blackburn in the Premier League all those years ago. Remember, he actually switched allegiance to play for Canada, because he was holding out to play for England, but then he actually switched to play for the country of his birth, instead of waiting for the English call-up. So I think
I've seen that most of the Canadian players, they actually play their football in Canada for CF Montreal or Toronto.
Yep, or Toronto. So they're closely bonded group. There are a bit of worry in terms of certain pieces in that team. I think the midfield area needs addressing, but I think they did well to qualify for long periods to World Cup qualifying. They were clearly the best team in the region, and they deservedly are there. I think this is a bridge too far for them, but you know that the Canadians, they'll fight all the way to the final whistle, and I don't think they'll be embarrassed in any of the three games that they will play.
And when you make up their midfielder, Stephen Eustáquio?
Eustáquio, he is the one who joins the attack. He has a goal or two in him, so definitely expect him to be one to keep an eye on. Everybody knows about Davies Buchanan, because they're playing their trade in Europe and doing very, very well for the respective clubs. Hutchinson, everybody knows him because he has been around. He's almost like an ageless wonder. And Larin, because yes, he's also doing his thing in Europe, and because of the goals that he would have scored in qualifying. So he definitely knows where the back of the net is. So I think those are players who everybody would be profiling, but Eustáquio, as I mentioned, is one to keep an eye on, because he will be the late arriving midfielder. He's versatile. He can play off both wings, so tends to favor coming in off the left-hand side, but I think he'll be battling with Junior Hoylett for that position.
All right. Ryan, welcome to the show. We're looking at our final group, Belgium, Canada, as well as Morocco and Croatia. What do you make of that group?
That's unfortunate that I came in and saw 1 hour and 20 odd minutes. I was hoping to come in and see 20 odd minutes.
Yeah, because we asked about that group and you asked about England team.
The groups that we're discussing tonight is what I really, really wanted to discuss. But due to work situation,
Is all right. Bones called England as one of his favorites. So you're good.
Before we ask about this English team, what do you make of this group in particular?
Of that group, for me, it's between Belgium and Croatia. Croatia is rebuilding. They have some good young players coming through that are in the squad. whereas Belgium for me is on the decline. For me, it's a toss-up for first and second between them. I think Morocco is a team that you have to really take seriously because they have some very good players in that squad. And
Very good players.
Yeah,
for
very
me,
good. I think I'm very
for me-
dangerous.
yeah, for real. For me, if Morocco and then Ziyech is back, the coach is out, Ziyech is back.
Yes, Salihadzich is out.
So for me, don't be surprised. Don't be surprised if Morocco springs a surprise there. Canada is the rookie here, so they might can get a point or two or three along the way, but I don't really see Canada going through.
True.
Ryan,
And for me in
Ryan.
this World Cup, Morocco is probably one of those not fancy team that I am not expecting to sit back. I'm actually expecting to go out all attacking.
yeah.
They play one way, Josh. One way they play.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
that's
For real, Morocco,
Belgium, and
Belgium.
not expecting to sit
It can be a situation. It can be a situation like this. Morocco can finish second, and one of Croatia
Croatia.
or Belgium goes out.
Precisely.
True.
Yeah.
True.
Ryan, just to extend that point quickly. Morocco, they're dangerous. They have pieces all over the board, but I think my issue, guys, with them is that they are goal shy. They don't necessarily score a lot of goals. In 2018, they dominated Spain and Portugal, and also Iran for large stretches of those games. But guess what? They just couldn't score. They have so many technically gifted players. I would go on record to say that Morocco, in terms of Africa, they have always had, arguably, along with Algeria, the most technically gifted African players. But in terms of goal scorers outside of En-Nesyri, who is definitely hot and cold, we know, yes, this is that Leganés, but fluffing his lines at Sevilla, not the man to lead the line for that outfit. But when you look at the players who they have available, and it's a travesty, guys, that Harit went down on the eve of the World Cup, and I mention it because he was asked 2 weeks ago about taking it easy, because you know this big debate about players taking it easy on the cusp of the World Cup, and Amin Harit, who has been so good for Igor Tudor at Marseille that Dimitri Payet, the club captain, has been relegated to basically a bench warmer for all of those big European games and all those big League One games this season. Harit has been that good playing off Alexis Sanchez in the hole. So he would have played there instead of Younes Belhanda this time around for Morocco. And guess what happened to him, guys? When they interviewed him, he said that if a player gets injured, it's just fate. It was meant to be. And tragically, he last game before the World Cup, he was playing against Monaco at Stade Louis II. He got injured. His knee went out. So he's definitely out long term. I'm not sure if it's an ACL or an MCL, but definitely a tragic way for him to go out. And he was a player at 24 who I expected big things from, along with Hakim Ziyech. Because you see, the thing is, with Ziyech and Harit, you would have a case where teams could not double up on a Ziyech or a Harit because they would be supplying the bullets to En-Nesyri. So I think with Belhanda not being brought this time around, despite still doing very well in Turkey, I think the emphasis is now going to be placed on Hakimi, who you know is going to bomb forward from left back, Mazraoui from right back, but crucially from Ziyech. So with Harit, they would have had an added dimension, able to score goals and to play off En-Nesyri, who is not the most prolific at the best of times. But I think that they will definitely give all of these teams a run for their money. And as Ryan mentioned, he would not be surprised. I would not be surprised either if they're able to score the chances. And in goal they have Bono,
solid
goalkeeper from Sevilla. He's a solid goalkeeper as well. So they at centre back they have Aguerd. We haven't seen a lot of him for West Ham. West Ham's big 29.5 million purchase in the off season. He was injured when he was signed by David Moyes, but we saw him a few times before the season came to a halt. So they definitely have a lot of pieces. And Roman Saiz, the captain, who we know from his days at Wolverhampton Wanderers. Very, very good player. So they have
The interesting,
very,
the
very good
interesting
players.
part of it though is Ziyech is now back in the squad, back in the
Precisely,
team.
scored
And
today.
yeah, but the thing is, Ziyech is on limited minutes, so it's interesting to see how he performs in this
Precisely,
tournament
because
he has been on
hasn't
limited
precisely.
minutes for club and country.
And Ryan, that's why I mentioned the case of Harriet, because the emphasis now is going to be placed on a player. Ziyech, we know how talented he is, and we know how brilliant he can be on his day, but he hasn't been playing regularly, right? And Harriet, who was in the who was in such good form, would have taken the creative burden of Hakim Ziyech. But I still expect them to make a good fist of it. You mentioned Belgium aging team, Josh. I think I think Croatia also has aging pieces, because when you look at the centre back, Lovren is still there. Modric, yes, we know is the ageless one, that 37 going strong. But we saw at the back end of the last World Cup, his legs started to go out because he had done so brilliantly in the group stages and the early games in the knockout stages. I figured when he got to the semi-finals, he wasn't that dominating against England, and in the finals, I felt Brozovic and Perisic were their better players. They're still around. Perisic approaching his 34th birthday. Brozovic has been injured at Inter, so there are issues with them leading the line. They no longer have Mandzukic. Kramaric is not necessarily the most prolific. So there are issues with this Croatian team as well. So let's not.
Yeah, but to be fair to Croatia, though, I mean, yes, there are issues with them, but I think in terms of, I think they have done a better job refreshing their squad than Belgium right now. Not necessarily with numbers of player, but in terms of quality, because they have Vardiel is a very good defender. And who was that I'm not remembering.
But I would say though, yes, while he's a very good defender, the thing is, if you watch Leipzig repeatedly this season, he has not always been first choice. I think guys, that projected move in the offseason, I think it affected his form early doors when the season restarted. So I'm not seeing the same. I'm not seeing the same player, yes, because remember that he was for all of the window tipped to the move away from Leipzig and tipped to arrive at Stamford Bridge. So I think that affected his form early doors. Obviously a very, 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 very good defender, immensely talented. Definitely expect him to start. They definitely have good pieces, but I could counter Guardiola with Debas guys who I think Roberto Martinez needs to use Debas. Josh mentioned him when he was naming the squad. Many persons probably are not aware of him, but he's been tipped as a new Vincent Kompany. Plays for Anderlecht, and he has been pulling up trees. Roberto Martinez even praised him, saying that his debut was basically the most impressive that he had seen for a national team in 20, 30 years. So composed he is on the ball. He just oozes confidence. Doku, Ryan, we saw him last year. He has been injured, but I think he will be a very, very good option, provided he's fit, because he's so dynamic. Charles Eketelier. So I think they have weapons, but I agree with you in terms of it's an aging team.
And Trossard definitely has to start.
And Leandro Trossard definitely should be in the team. And the problem is that with this dependence on this 3-5-2, you might find Trossard playing as a wing back as opposed to playing closer to the goal. And he has spoken about this at Brighton, that he prefers obviously to play closer to the goal, where his natural ability and his ability to score and to create are better equipped to serve the team, as opposed to playing out wide, where he'll have to do a lot of defending going back towards his goal.
So Dr. Don, that is the probable lineup for Mark team on screen. So that's a likely lineup.
So basically what I say right now, we have two possibly aging team with Ryan saying that he thinks that Croatia is replenishing their team better than Belgium.
Arguably.
Yeah,
Because it can be argued both ways.
yeah, right. But so we're giving Morocco a strong chance to make it out of the group then,
Yeah.
based on the analysis.
Yeah.
Yes.
So we're not give Canada not a chance. Ryan, me go talk about your visa for Canada, you know.
Ryan, we looked at England earlier. The England group, what to make of your team? Because since you're a big England fan as well.
England, you want me to speak about the England squad?
Yeah. What you make of them?
Well, to be honest, it's a good squad. It's as good as it could be, minus maybe one or two arguable selections. The forward areas is the strongest area. However, when England plays, it does not appear that way because
it doesn't.
England only have 2 players in the forward line with more than 10 goals, and they are Kane and Sterling. So the bulk of the goal scoring is based on those 2. And the third highest scorer for England right now is a defender, Maguire, with about 6 or 7 goals or something like that. So England is Sterling, Kane for the goals, and that should be a worry if they are not on fire. And the playing style and so forth with England is kind of a worry. Hopefully, with Jude Bellingham now seemingly being a starter, our midfield playing patterns can be a lot better because he progresses the ball well, and we see Rice can progress the ball well as well. They're not static midfielders like that. And Jude is now getting into the goals at club level. When the squad was to be picked, we know who, for the most part, who would be picked in up front, who would be picked in midfield, would be the goalkeepers, but the defensive areas was the part where a lot of people were saying this person or that person. It was the hardest line of the team to pick, but I think the defense is still the weakest area of the team because even though they are good players, I don't think they have gelled with England. A lot of them. And Ben White is basically 3-4 games in. Who else is there? Well, Dyer is experienced, but Dyer for me is hit and miss. Stones for me is the best defender there. Maguire tends to be good for England, but
he's not.
He was bad. He was very bad against Germany, so that is also his club form is now coming into his country form. Who else is there? Again, well, Walker. We know what Walker brings already. So yeah, there are some good players, but for me, I have concerns regarding defense, especially over the last few games. In the Nations League and so forth, we have been conceding goals every game. So that is a worry. And if it is that we're only going to rely on 2 persons to score, that is going to be an additional worry. Phil Foden, people might argue that Foden should be a starter, but Foden for England is not Foden for Man City. I think Saka has gelled better with the England team because he's more direct, whereas Foden is more tricks and skills and those kind of things. I don't think he has gelled with England as yet.
And I think that's the reason why he's unlikely to start the first 2 games.
Who's unlikely to start the first 2 games?
Foden. Yeah.
He has an injury?
What I see Southgate normally does is that if for example, if England win the first 2 games, then he is likely to start Foden in the 3rd game.
I thought he had an injury when you said that. Okay.
Yeah, normally that's what he does, Foden. He normally let him come off the bench.
No, but remember the Nations League against Croatia, Foden started that game and then
he started that game.
He never really had a good game except for hitting the post. And I don't think he started any more games in the Euros rather.
I think Saka is going to be the starter.
I think Saka will start because he's more direct, and for England, I think the direct attackers work best with that team.
Okay. Any more comments from you, Mr. Ham?
Totally agree with Ryan. Saka versus Foden. Well, Foden, for me, is the more talented of the 2. and probably has done more at club level. On international stage, I think the edge definitely goes to the Arsenal man, and also Saka's versatility. Foden is also a versatile player, but Saka basically one of those players. They put him anywhere, and he will thrive. We have seen him play in several different positions for England, and I think Southgate likes players like that because Southgate himself was a versatile player in his day, limited but versatile. So I think Saka should start. I think Sterling will start, and I think Harry Kane will start. So I think England arguably may play a 3-4-3 because I definitely see those three playing in the forward areas. And I think the midfield selects itself. I think Bellingham definitely alongside Rice because you can't pick Calvin Phillips because you have not seen him in almost forever. And I think in the back three, I think Walker provided his fit is going to be alongside Stones.
I heard he won't play the first game. That's what I heard.
Well, if he doesn't, then I think
that's where Ben White. I think Ben White for me.
I would definitely go with Ben White, but based on the fact that in terms of playing in a back three at club level repeatedly, I think Eric Dyer might get the nod, but I would go with Ben White because I think playing that particular position, you also need to be able to advance the ball and also be able to
you play Dyer as the right on the right side.
No, but I would play Ben White there as opposed to Eric Dyer. But I think leaning on how Southgate normally puts his teams out, I'm thinking that he's going to go with Dyer, but I would go with White. I think he has done very well at club level, and I think he's also versatile. I think he's also able to advance the ball and to pull out wide and to become an auxiliary right back. When the team
listen, you know what's funny? We're there. 1 second. Born. You know what's funny? At club level, Dyer plays the sweeper position
as a sweeper
position. But however, for England,
he plays
the right position is mostly Stones. Whereas for club level, we're seeing Stones playing right centre back or even right back now.
Precisely.
So clearly they can play different positions. However, but
they're versatile.
At the England level, they tend to be that way. But my major concern if Maguire plays is that Shaw is there. And he and Shaw tend not to have a very good relationship. For some reason, they don't have a good relationship on the field. At club.
And one thing me know, Ryan, if Luke Shaw, Harry Maguire, and Eric Dyer ever start for England, they said in the same starting 11, that is, me not even go, me not know what to say.
That won't happen, though, Bones. That won't happen.
Me hope so. But if so Ryan, you never there earlier when we did agree on a front four, right? So we did say the young boys to play up front with the old man, and Sterling get dropped. Zine? So that, but me hear you say Foden don't really have the type of impact where he have at Manchester City versus him being at playing with England. But Jude behind a Harry Kane with Saka and Foden on either side.
Talking about Rooney lined up the front four.
Like you not think.
No, I want to play Jude as a number. I want to play Jude that way.
You want to play Jude
even though he can play there because he does it for club.
Listen why? Oh yeah, but so who you would have fill in a Jude slot now that we are trying to say. You mean
if England is playing a 4-2-3-1?
If England is playing a 4-2-3-1, yeah,
I would put Maddison there.
Right. Okay. So Maddison, that's fine because that's a call I made too.
And then Jude and Declan Rice in midfield.
Right. Yeah. That's okay. Yeah. Because here the advantage of playing Ben White. You might play Saka, and the two of them have a really good chemistry at Arsenal going for them right now. Every time, every game. Zine, despite we might say Saka might hot and cold, but if Southgate is smart, he would probably play Ben White. Even though my favorite for the right back position is Trippier, he'll probably play For me, I would play Ben
No,
White.
but if it is that England is, you mean as what formation are we talking about? You said right back.
Yeah,
So
me
back four.
So yeah, back four. Yeah,
Oh no, if it's a back four, definitely Trippier.
yeah. So whatever. But at the end of the day, if him go back three, if him go back three, it cannot be that him have Harry Maguire and Eric Dyer around there. The two of them prone for mistake.
Yeah.
Prone for mistake. And we see that every weekend when they play. Eric Dyer the other day head back one ball to Hugo Lloris to our next one where we not even want to talk about and end up in the back of the net.
So, guys, that's it for our show tonight. And just to update you that the Jamaica Scorpions are into the Super 50 finals. Big chase and big win by Captain Rovman.
Wait, you got... Sorry.
Jamaica
we won.
Super 50, yeah, in the finals.
Yeah.
They won the game.
Interesting.
So they're in the finals. Big win by Rovman and the boys.
By the way, you guys mentioned France?
Yeah,
Yeah,
man.
we mentioned France earlier.
Oh, and you mentioned that France never put together two good tournaments, two good World Cup in our lifetime.
No, he said that
I
was
thought
change.
about that, but the French fans, though, Mr. Harman Bones, I don't think it's going to be a repeat. Where
The French. So,
yeah,
Well,
French,
but
they're not
Ryan,
expecting that repeat.
Ryan, to be fair though, Ryan, I would say they did as well as they could in 2014 because that was a team that was rebuilding, and they lost to Germany.
well, yeah, we could argue that for real. Yeah,
And
yeah.
then they won. But I see where you're going in terms of 98 as opposed to 02. But there are factors 02 which we know. Zidane was injured. That team was built around him. Perez, who was in the form of his life, was injured. And then people like Henry and Cisse.
And you're not seeing elements of that now going on?
With Pogba, Kante injured out?
No.
I know
but
Kim Pem.
No, but why I mentioned those two guys?
Kim Pembe imagery basically is a blessing, this guys.
You better say it twice.
But Josh, to answer that question quickly, why I mentioned Zidane and Perez, because those were the primary playmakers in that team, right? And the creativity came from those players.
Yeah. I agree with that.
And Djorkaeff was past his best by then. So, but no, this team doesn't need a Kante and a Pogba for creativity because really and truly, it was really a counter-attacking system that Deschamps has been employing. Because when you look at the midfield at France, he was in the last World Cup, people like Matuidi, Pogba, Kante, they were athletes as opposed to artists. People like Payet was injured, but even before that, he didn't want to use necessarily a Payet. We saw him in 2016 coming from the bench when he was in the form of his life. Nasri, he didn't really want to use, so he has shied away from people like that and favored people who are hard workers and in playing on the counter attack. And I think in Mbappe, in Benzema, in the Rampage, in Theo Hernandez, I think enough creativity is there. So I think while they're missing key pieces, I would make a case that Lloris on current form shouldn't have been there. And I think the biggest miss that we haven't mentioned is Maignan, because Maignan on current form is the best French goalkeeper. And it's laughable that Steve Mandanda at 37 still gets a look in.
Yeah,
remember, this is a player who has definitely lost it. And I think Alban Lafont at FC Nantes should feel hard done because I think he's a better goalkeeper than Alphonse Areola. But as I said before, guys, I think France is still good enough to make a good showing. And I think on their day, they still have match winners both on the field and from the bench. Because I think Dembele, Koeman, they offer that X factor, Ryan. I think you'll agree. While they're hot and cool, I think they can win games. So I think while they miss these players, I think it's not as bad as in years gone by.
No, what I'm hearing from the French camp though, like from the French journalists, is that the vibe in the camp is not what it should be.
Always I have that, but the French. Yeah, always I have that every single year with the French team.
I know the French love a revolution, but
we're good for that, man. We're good for that. And
I agree with the point that Ham made, that the fact that they're a counter-attacking team is the main reason why those midfielders like you won't be miss. Because if we watch the last World Cup finals, so Croatia were more dominant in midfield, and then but hey, France
Yeah,
And our experience is showing and Camavinga at the international level.
Yeah.
No,
So,
Camavinga not go play.
He's not going to start Kama, but I think just
Kama
No, but regardless of the fact whether it starts or not, who else is there that you could say is experience at the international level?
Robert.
Precisely, because
Rabiot.
but remember that
Then again, Rabiot is in good form, but
Rabiot missed the last
he's
World
going to
Cup,
start
guys,
Adrian
remember?
Rabiot and Tisha
And then, so I think it's Rabiot and Tchouaméni. Guendouzi's inexperience and petulant at the best of times. Camavinga is talented.
So it's Rabiot.
but very, very young. So
Rabiot
it's not like
petulant.
Ryan, he had many options at his disposal. Vertu is a good player, but I think at this level he will be exposed. I think when you look at the other options that he had, I think this is the best that he could come up, because Yusuf Fofana, who is replacement for Tchouaméni, Monaco, good player, but he is very, very inexperienced as well.
So you would pick Fofana? You think Fofana? I think Fofana should have been there over Vertu, even though Vertu is doing well right now.
Well,
Which one is Fofana?
Not Wesley, the midfielder.
Yusuf Fofana, who plays for Monaco.
But me thinking did they?
No.
He never get called up.
He was in the initial group.
Oh, me thinking he get called up. Swear me see something when he get called up.
No, I know that Rabiot is.
Rabiot is what?
in break. Ryan can I break that freeze?
Josh, you give 1 minute to say. You give 1 minute to
guys. I'm gonna wrap up, guys, and give you a minute. So Bones, take your first minute.
Let me take my first minute. Me don't know how I'm feel about this, but me see a certain man come out today, come back and talk about Arsenal. Or if Manchester United no win the Premier League, then it should be Arsenal. Me I beg that man to stay left Arsenal name far out time out. You hear me I tell you? Me don't want all this Piers Morgan or whatever, but he will be give us a cutting edge to propel us to the title. Hey, are you to pack your bag and go in our barrel dropping at the deepest part of the ocean with Ronaldo right now? Cristiano Ronaldo, please stay far from what is happening at Arsenal. Me I beg you.
Know yourself, Bones. We'll talk about his team on Saturday. Right?
Yeah, beg it. We just beg him to stay far from
How many
Arsenal.
groups
That's all.
tonight? We did England group.
Yeah, we did 3 groups, but we do the next 2 final groups Saturday.
Oh, by the way, I have
and those 2 groups are very
I have USA to not make it. I have England and Iran.
Oh, England and Iran, yeah.
That's weird.
Iran,
That a ham pick.
Iran?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was mentioned about how dangerous they are. So
yeah, they are.
Final minutes.
Yes, I just want who's going?
You, yeah, Mr. Arsenal, your final minute.
Okay.
Just to address Bones' concern, it doesn't make any logical sense to me Arsenal being linked with Ronaldo because in terms of his age, in terms of the history, the falling out with his manager, the history of Arteta with players of that nature,
and who Arteta
the wages that he is on, the wages that he's likely to command, it just doesn't make sense to me. So I'm not giving it much
that's the most unlikeliest
much thought. But just to reiterate, I think Iran very, very dangerous in that group. But I think Ryan, I think you'll agree with me. I think it's dependent though on the fitness of Sardar Azmoun, because we know Azmoun prolific goal scorer at club and international level. I think him alongside Taremi, I think they will definitely trouble all the teams in the group. But I think with him out, I think while Taremi is in the form of his life, I think Iran becomes significantly reduced in terms of their attacking threat. And Morocco, also another outsider, people probably are scoffing at them. I think once they are able to keep games tight, I think they definitely, because I think their issue for me, guys, is that they are so gung-ho that those two fullbacks, Mazraoui on the right, Hakimi on the left. I think and the thing is they can even interchange because they're equally good on either side. So there's no guarantee that they're going to play right or left back either one of them. So but the thing is they probably have to be a bit more restrained because they're going to want to go forward, and I think it can expose Aguerd and Saiz on the counter attack because I think they're going to dominate possession in most of these games, and I think they need to take their chances when they get them and they have options from the bench guys. When you look at their bench, they have people like Buffal, they have people like Abde, who we saw occasionally for Barcelona last season, that bright wide player who is not Osasuna. So they have pieces, guys, and I think they are a team that we definitely should keep an eye on. And guess what? They are going to be very, very pleasing on the eye because they are attractive to watch and they are a team that tries to score goals. But my issue is that they may concede more than they're able to plunder themselves.
Seeing Jermaine say, I have Iran and Morocco to lose all games. But let's see. I doubt that will happen. Ryan, you're fine on it.
Yeah, regarding the groups that you guys mentioned, that England group, it is the hardest group in the World Cup. Yeah, it doesn't look like that on paper, but in terms of FIFA ranking, all four teams are in the top.
Earlier and say it looked like one of the easiest group on paper, but FIFA ranking doesn't show that.
Yeah, man, all four teams are in the top 20 of the ranking. So it is the hardest group on paper. I don't think England is going to make it easy in terms of make it easy for themselves. I think they will. I don't see England winning all three games.
I said the same thing.
Yeah.
7 points is what I see England getting. And hopefully that wins us the group. So for me, it's England and Iran for that group. I don't think USA will be making it out. Sorry. The other group, the French-Denmark group, we know what Denmark like to do to France. We see it twice this year. We see it before in World Cups. I think last World Cup it was 0-0 and 2002 when France needed to win. Denmark won 2-0. Yeah. So it is not a foregone conclusion that France will win that group. So for me, I think Denmark can get that group over France in second.
Group F, no, Belgium, Canada,
Belgium, Croatia. As I said, that group is wide open for me. It can be any of three teams.
Yeah,
getting first or second.
Okay. I think Belgium will go through, but the next.
I think they can go through. They can even win the group, but for me, it's wide open. It depends on what happens on the day. I don't think it is as. I think it's very close. If you ask me.
So my question to you, Ryan, are you giving Denmark a chance to top the group so you avoid France in quarterfinals?
No, I'm giving Denmark a chance to top the group based on recent history.
Yeah,
okay. Me have to check, you know. Me have to check.
So guys, we'll look at
the time of the year.
Groups on Saturday, and those groups will even be more difficult to call. So Group E, Spain, Costa Rica, Germany, and Japan. And then Group H, Portugal, Ghana, Uruguay, Korea Republic. Both of these groups are seen by.
Wait, we did Germany group already?
No, Saturday.
So Saturday. So both of these groups are seen as the two toughest groups, and we leave them for last on Saturday.
Oh, yeah, this is Spain. Yeah,
Spain, Germany, Japan, and then we.
So what we doing tomorrow?
And Costa Rica, and then Group H, Portugal, Ghana, Uruguay, Korea. Yeah, there won't be a show tomorrow. We come on.
No show tomorrow.
Yeah, so Saturday, guys, we'll be back at 8 p.m. So, thank you guys for the voice cams that was here earlier. Thank you, Mr. Hammer and Ham, and Lays Blues, right? Mr. Arsenal, both that his name, LeBlanc. And Ryan, who's here as our English fan. And big up to our commenters. At one time we have over 20 viewers. So big up guys and enjoy the rest of your night. See you on Saturday at 8 p.m. when we look at the final two groups. And you can also look out for a competition to be posted tomorrow. So that's the Sport Frenzy World Cup competition. It will be posted tomorrow for you guys to make your predictions. So enjoy the rest of your night.
All right, yeah, bye.